about the Center for Civic Engagement. I'm going to share my screen with you. We'll see how we get this going. Okay, perfect. And then you can see this. All right, sweet. So friends, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad you've come out tonight. Again, I know you've taken some time away from your evening and all of your activities and everything that you've got going on right now to come be with me. So I hope to make this as engaging and as informative as possible. And what my intent is I want to give you.
Blake, I don't want to interrupt you, but I don't know. I can't see your screen.
Oh, okay. Can everyone else see my screen?
I was like, if they could, because if that's, I just want to make sure people can see it. I did see it and then it popped out. So
okay. Thank you. Thank you.
There we go. I was like, yeah, but I can see it now.
Okay. I think I need to hit share my entire desktop instead of just my app. And okay, participants can see my screen. And I'm going to go to full present mode.
There we go.
Is it now?
Yep, you're good.
Okay, awesome. Cool. Sorry for the small technical difficulties, but here we are. Now I can see it. Perfect. Thanks you, William. I appreciate it. All right, friends. So again, thank you for giving your time tonight. I'm going to try and make this as engaging and as informative as possible so that you get what you need by the end of our time together, and happy to answer any questions that you have at the end of our time. I know a lot of folks, as they hear about the work that we're doing, have different questions, so we'll make plenty of time for that at the end. But to start off, I want to give you a brief overview into the Bonner Center for Civic Engagement. Again, my name is Blake Stack. I'm the Senior Associate Director for Student Engagement here at the Bonner Center for Civic Engagement. And so I'm going to give you a broad overview of what our center does and who we are, and then I'm going to focus on the Bonner Scholars Program in particular, because I know many of you came here tonight because you wanted to know a bit more about the Bonner Scholars Program. But to give you a little context, the Bonner Scholars Program sits within a larger center here at the university that is focused on connecting staff, faculty, nonprofits, and students together. So whether you are a Bonner Scholar or not, we are here to support you as you seek to be engaged in the local community. And I'm going to go into that a little bit more in depth in the next couple minutes. So as a brief introduction, I want to give you a sense of how we understand civic engagement. For us, we see civic engagement as a collaborative endeavor that seeks to make a difference in the civic life of a community while collectively growing in our knowledge and values. And the real important key here is, beyond all these words, is this fact that we see it as a collaborative endeavor. This is not about any one particular individual going into the community to save the day and putting on a cape. No, this is about us building relationships here in the community and understanding how people want us to show up and be part of what they're doing. So we see it as very collaborative rather than us trying to come and fix or solve problems on our own. And then secondly, we try and prepare students for lives of purpose by connecting students, faculty, staff, and community stakeholders in social change efforts that value the knowledge and potential in our communities. And again, that last phrase is so critical. We value the knowledge and potential in our communities. All of the knowledge needed, all of the expertise needed to work on different social change efforts does not lie exclusively here within our institution. We know that people have been working on different social change efforts for decades in their communities, and so it is our job to show up and learn from them as they are doing the work, and then again, see how we can be in relationship and be of support to the work that they are pushing forward. So it's just a key framing as we think about our work overall as a center. So in that spirit, we do a lot of different work in a lot of different spaces. whether it be healthcare, arts and culture, affordable housing, sustainability, food, access, environmentalism, refugees and immigration, economic access, diversity and multiculturalism, education, college access, all of these things. We hope that whatever you get most excited about, whatever you're passionate about, we can build a bridge for you and with you across the Richmond community. And so these are just, again, this is a broad spectrum of the spaces that we connect with and the spaces that we enter as we seek to do this work. One of the ways that we do this is we offer an online portal to students, staff, and faculty, where all of the nonprofits that we partner with will post the different opportunities to be engaged. And we call this Spiders Engage. And so you can go to that, you can look at that, you can see all the different things that community partners are posting and look and see the opportunities that you might want to be involved in. If you go there now, I will say things are probably a little sparse because it's the summertime. So don't be disappointed or discouraged if you go to that now. But during the school year, our partners know that students are actively seeking to be engaged. And so in the fall and the spring, you're going to see a much more robust opportunity posting list in there. But we're not only about engagement. We're also about thinking critically about the work of social change. And so we host a lot of different educational opportunities across the university where students can come and think about the different change efforts that are going on here in Richmond. And just to provide a small example of those, here are some that we did in the fall. And forgive me, my bar is hiding this for me, so I'm going to move that. But here's some fall examples. We did Protecting Voting Rights with Dr. Hank Chambers. We've had election recaps with different student organizations across campus. And we even brought in folks who filmed the documentary, How the Monuments Came Down, with the filmmakers and different people across Richmond. And then in the spring, we hosted panels with change makers, former student activists here in our community. We've brought sustainable building and sustainable communities. That was a conversation with Ann Liu, a designer at SMBW Architects. We've done excursions to the school board, to local governments, and other city council meetings. And we've taken students down to the Emancipation and Freedom Memorial on Browns Island. And again, this is just a small sampling of some of the educational initiatives that we try to facilitate to give students an opportunity to think critically about the work here in our community. Okay, the Bonner Scholars Program. So again, this is just a reminder, the Bonner Scholars Program is one part of our larger center. It's a deeply important part to us. These are students who are deeply engaged in the community, who spend a lot of time working with different nonprofits and government agencies. But again, it's within this larger context of our center here at the university. So the best way for me to probably tell you about the Bonner Scholars Program is to introduce you to a few people who have recently graduated and tell you their stories. And the first one is Peter Braun. Peter Braun graduated in 21. He was a geography and environment major. He volunteered with the Office of Sustainability and then used that volunteer efforts to intern with the DC Climate Coalition, went on to receive a few different awards, and currently he is the Community Engagement Manager here in Richmond at the Capital Region Land Conservancy. So Peter is a student who thrived in this work, and so much that he ended up landing a full-time job here in Richmond after he graduated. Next one is Kevon Thompson. Kevon Thompson is a senior who is graduating right now. He's a sociology major, chemistry, and women and gender and sexuality studies minor. Kevon volunteered with the Science Museum of Virginia. He then interned in our office as a program associate. He served on the Young Men of Color panel for Vice President Kamala Harris. He eventually served on the Board of Trustees Advancement Committee here at the university, was involved in different initiatives with the Center for Student Involvement, and now he's going to go on to be an instructor for Teach for America. His long-term goals is to be a physician, and so he's going to be applying to med school, but currently, for the time being, while he gets his applications in place, he'll be doing Teach for America. And then Brianna Silva, 22. She was a journalism and political science double major. She was a Bonner Scholar and also received the Newman Civic Fellow Award. She interned all over the place here in Richmond. The Virginia Interfaith Center for Public Policy, the International Rescue Committee. She was the president of a student organization called the Scholars Latino Initiative. She founded her own initiative during the pandemic called Mass for Richmond. And then she went on and interned for all of these different places over the summer, including Senator Cory Booker. She is now working for the mayor in New York City. I don't know the exact name of the office, but that's where she's recently landed. So I'm super proud of all of these students. And I could spend the next half an hour, 2 hours talking to you about all the students in the Bonner Scholars Program who have had a similar path and who have done all of these, different service endeavors, and then have been able to apply them in their postgraduate experiences. Okay, but the interesting thing about the Bonner program is that it's not just about individuals and their overall growth and development. We really believe in the Bonner Scholars Program that it's about building community with other people, people who have your back, people who know you, people who you become friends with, people that you can go out into the community and do service with. And so this is one of the really special pieces of the Bonner Scholars Program. And we do this through cornerstone experiences. During your first year, you'll take a trip to DC for a few days. Sophomore exchange, we do an event where students across the Virginia region come together and learn across different Bonner programs. Junior journey, we go down into the city and typically work with an art studio. And then senior retreat is a moment in which you get to prepare for your presentation of learning during your senior year. But there's other student-led community building initiatives, such as one-time service projects. Students will organize movie nights, they'll organize a mentoring program, city excursions, etc. Okay, so let me get into a little bit more of the nitty-gritty, because you might be asking yourself, what does it look like to be a Bonner Scholar on a day-to-day basis? What does it look like week to week for me to be in the Bonner program? So one of the important things for you to think about is that of all the hours that you will commit in the Bonner program, 20% of them will be through what we call training and education, or T&E. The other 80% will be direct community engagement. This is where you'll be in person, in the community, working side by side with different community members and nonprofits. So training and education, specifically, what does that look like? It looks like class meetings with your cohort. You and your cohort will come together about every other week and do some class meetings. And we'll also host campus-wide meetings focused on social change, policy, to help you develop your civic knowledge. A small footnote here, as you think about engaging in this way with our program, one of the ways that we support you is by giving you priority class registration. So it's a really nice perk of the program. You get to register for classes before most of your peers so that you can participate in these requirements that we have, but also it kind of gives you your own freedom to design your schedule with a little bit more ease. Okay, community engagement, again, you all know what this is. Serving at a local nonprofit or government agency. What this looks like is local schools, health clinics, environmental organizations, governmental organizations, all of those things. Here's a couple examples of the organizations that we work with. Health Brigade, if you're interested in health, the City of Richmond's Office of Sustainability, Peter Paul, if you're interested in education, Art for the Journey. We have about 40 different nonprofit organizations that we partner with for the Bonner Scholars Program particularly. Now, everyone across the university is engaged with these organizations, but these 40 organizations have a commitment to the Bonner Scholars Program, and they host various interns. So this is, again, just a small sampling of some, but we have about 40 different organizations that we work with. Okay, funding. This is an important one that you're probably curious about. So $3,000 in hourly earnings during the academic year. So it comes down to about $1,500 per semester that you will earn on an hourly basis. We give $9,000 for two 280-hour internships at nonprofits during the summertime. So that's a key component. This is during the summer. And what this breaks down to is $4,500 for 2 summers. The important part here is also that this is in addition to the Richmond Guarantee. The Richmond Guarantee is a totally separate pot of money. So you can go ahead and claim your Richmond Guarantee if you've heard about that. And that's $5,000 for 400 hours. But the Bonner Scholars Program offers 2 additional summers that you can get funding for. So if you're in the Bonner program, as you step back and think about that, you would have 3 fully funded summers while you're here at the university. 2 of those coming from the Bonner program, 1 of those coming from the Richmond Guarantee. And then we have a small $500 stipend during the summer prior to your senior year. Again, if you've completed your summer internships, we also have an academic integration requirement. If you've completed that, you get this nice little bonus prior to your senior year. So how might this look throughout the week? This is a great overview of what your first year could look like in the Bonner program. So in a given first year, you would have a temporary service site where you would go and tutor or work at Habitat for Humanity or one of those organizations for 1 day a week. We call that a temporary service site. And then you'll have your Bonner meeting on Wednesday nights. We call that Bonner 101. This is going to ease you into the program and help you acclimate to the university as well as the Bonner Scholars Program as a whole. And then on a Friday, you would go out with the rest of your peers and do some exploration. This is where we might take some tours of different organizations so you can get a feel for what they're like. And eventually, you're going to apply to an organization and you're going to be with them for the remainder of your time at the university. So again, this whole first year, though, you're getting an opportunity to explore, see what you like, go check out organizations, meet people. And then at some point during your first year, you're going to make that application. And then on a given Saturday, you might be going out and doing a one-time service event. This is kind of how you'll get your typical 10 hours a week. Year 2, you'll have a more established internship in which that you're going to work at. So you won't be exploring. You may not need to do a one-time service event to make up for your hours. So you might volunteer 2 days a week in year 2 at your standard internship, and then just go to your Bonner meeting on Wednesday night. You might have like a little 1 hour here and there doing a project-based training module, but overall, that's kind of how you'll get your 10 hours a week. One small footnote on this, it might be helpful to say closer to 9 hours a week, because there might be some weeks where you come into the program and week 1, you've already served some hours, or over the break, you decide to go serve some hours. So you might reduce this 10-hour commitment to more like 8 or 9 because you've spread it out a little bit more. Okay. Application process. Applications are due this Sunday night, May 7th. We're going to ask you 3 questions focused on your understanding of civic engagement, 400 words max each. Again, we're looking at your understanding of what civic engagement is, and we don't expect everyone to have a perfect, crisp, sharp understanding of all of these things. We're just trying to get a sense of where you're at and how you understand these things. So if you submit an answer that's kind of like a textbook answer, because you scoured the internet and you want to put it, like, we can sense that. We know that. We know the textbook answer from like the personal, thoughtful, submitted answer. So we really value your own thoughtful answers to this, and encourage you to do that without a whole lot of assistance from other places. A recommendation letter is optional. So you can submit that if you want to, but again, it's optional. And then applicants will be notified by early June, and we'll let you know whether you've been accepted, whether you've been put on the wait list, or if we've had to deny your application. Finally, if you have any questions, you can reach out to us at spidersengage@richmond.edu. This is our email that we monitor on a daily basis. Multiple staff members receive this email. So if I can't get to it and another staff member can, we'll be sure to reach out to you and answer your questions that you might have about the Bonner program. But for now, that's it from me. I'll take some time, obviously, to answer all of your questions that you might have. But thank you again for joining us, and we really hope that you'll take a moment to apply to the program.
Well, it looks like we have one question in the chat thus far, which is there any overlap between the Bonner Scholars Program and Richmond's Political Science Department?
Great question. Yes. So if I have your name correct, I believe it's Naomi. Thank you, Naomi. Great question. We do have students, and here's one particular instance, but your question might be a little bit broader. We have students who will intern with the General Assembly sometimes during their sophomore or junior year. And that is a January, February program where students will go and do those internships with the General Assembly. And we count that as part of your service here in the Bonner program. So that's really great, because a lot of Bonners want to take advantage of that. They want to go down to the General Assembly, work with a legislator, learn how all the legislative processes work. And they take a pause from their current internship that they're at, go do that internship with the General Assembly, and then they return to their normal internship after doing that. But as far as like faculty connections, we work with a lot of faculty from the political science department. Often they will support us with a learning series that we do called Perspectives. And so different professors will come in and support that learning series that we do on campus. So there's a lot of informal ways that we partner, but then there's that one particular one that has a specific overlap with our program, if that's helpful. And then I see Matthew. The question you have here is, how does the Bonner Scholars Program conflict with the dual degree program, considering the shortened time at Richmond? Matthew, if I understand your question, are you indicating that you would hope to graduate in 3 years versus 4 years? Or are you just talking? Yes, okay, awesome. Yes, so actually that is becoming a little bit more common in our orbit, is that we're having some students who wish to graduate in 3 years versus 4. I'd probably say maybe 1 or 2 students per year out of our full cohort are choosing that path, and that continues to work well for them. They have engaged in the Bonner program for 3 years. They've kind of taken the most of it, interning with nonprofits, using their summer service funding, that's allotted to them, and then they just graduate as juniors from the program. So we've supported other students who do that, and would be glad to support you if that's something that you would want to do. I hope that's answered for you and Naomi. I hope I answered your question fully, but feel free to follow up if there's additional questions to that.
Oh, there you go. Looks good.
Perfect. All right, Naomi. That's great. Yeah, one thing I will say, some students can be concerned that the Bonner program, like, as they look at it, they say 8 to 10 hours a week. Can I do other things across campus? Or will the Bonner program be the only thing I can do when I'm here? And it's important to know that we've had Bonners who are presidents of student government. We've had Bonners who, again, lead their own student organizations on campus. We've had Bonners who work other jobs on campus. So it is an important commitment, and it's something that students certainly need to be thoughtful about and be planful around. But our Bonners continue to tell us that it's not the only thing, and you can, as you become planful and learn the time management skills that you need, you can still have a rich, fully engaged experience across campus as you participate in the Bonner program. The only maybe small exception goes back to Matthew's question. I don't know how that's felt for our 3-year students. I'd be curious to ask our 3-year students. I think they might have to be a little more intentionally engaged in the Bonner program. I don't know what their extracurriculars have looked like given that kind of shortened window. But I know for the 4-year students, each of them has said, again, we've had a rich, full experience here on campus, and the Bonner program has been a huge part of that, but it's not been the only part. Okay, we've got lots of other questions. I'll try and work through these. Bonner sounds really cool. Sounds fully encompassing. Not being at school yet and not sure what a student might want to be involved in. What are some things to consider to decide to plunge into without knowing what else is available at UR? That is a great question, Lori. So if I'm hearing your question right, what I would say is a lot of our students who come into the Bonner program are very committed, very dedicated, want to give of themselves in a lot of different ways. And the beauty of the Bonner program, obviously I'm a little biased, is that you get to form a sense of community right away and be part of a broader network of students on campus. But at the same time, you don't have to commit to too much else at that moment, right? A lot of students, we encourage them, just like we're trying to do with exploration and slowly ease you into the program, we encourage you to do the same thing across campus. There's different student involvements, organizations, there's the Endeavor program, there's lots of things to kind of just like dip your toes into the water. And that's really what we want for you, because we don't want students who have committed to 10 and 12 and 15 things, and then they come to the end of their first semester, or even the end of their first year, and they're exhausted. But I would actually defer to Sage a little bit on this question. She works with a lot of new and transition students. She might have a better sense of all the opportunities to explore.
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, it's such a personal question too, in some ways, about kind of what you're looking for. But Blake, I think you touched a little bit on it too. When you were talking to, I think the nice thing about Bonner is that students can still be involved in many things outside of just Bonner. So I think, again, I work with the Endeavor program, so I feel like I get to know students who are involved in multiple different programs and things across campus, some of which you do, Bonner and Endeavor, things like that. So there are overlaps, but I know one of the pieces of advice we'll give a lot of new students is like, don't overwhelm yourself and take too many things on, but also like take advantage of like all the things around you too. So it's hard to figure out the exact correct thing to do. But again, I would say that it is hard to say because until you get to UR and kind of figure out what your place is, it's hard to fully know what you'll want to do. But I do think, again, with programs such as Bonner, and again, I'm biased also towards Endeavor. I think those programs are great because they allow you to find a community and have a place when you get to UR, but also aren't again, have things that you need to do and accomplish. They allow for some flexibility as well to also find your place other places that you are too.
Awesome.
It's helpful.
Great. All right, Rima. You asked, during summer work for the Bonner program, do we have to make our own provision to stay in Richmond for out-of-town students? So Rima, here's the beauty of our summer experience. We encourage you during your first summer, if you recall, we said you have 2 summers in the Bonner program. During your first summer, we encourage you to go and work at a place really close to home. And home is whatever that means for you. If home is close to a relative that you know and love really well, awesome. If home is somewhere outside of the US, great, go do that. Because we know that a lot of students who are doing an internship like this, possibly for the first time, benefit from having people close by that they trust, potentially support for housing, and support for transportation. So again, for your first summer, we want to encourage you to go home, again, whatever that means for you, so that you have some additional support while you do that first internship. And then for your second internship, we say go wherever you want, go your heart's desire. We've had students go a lot of different places outside the US, some very interesting places here within the US, but they've aligned it with their own skills, passions, career aspirations, all of those things. So we are not, probably what you were asking is, do we have to stay in Richmond? Nope, not at all. You don't have to stay in Richmond. Obviously during the academic year, yes, save for the moment when you might study abroad. If you study abroad, we will actually support your engagement while you study abroad as well. But otherwise, the only connection to working here in Richmond is when you're actually studying here at the university. So I hope that's helpful. All right, Mariana, I would like to confirm that if I am denied to the Bonner Scholars Program, I can still volunteer through Spiders Engage volunteer postings. Absolutely. Yes, Mariana, we would be happy to support you even if you do not get an acceptance letter to the Bonner Scholars Program. And in fact, I will say this, I will shout it from the rooftops until I have to leave this university, that some of our best students who are most deeply engaged across Richmond are not necessarily Bonner Scholars. We have a lot of students who are deeply involved, deeply engaged, simply out of the pure love for wanting to build relationships in the community, to giving back to the community, be involved in the community, all those things. So we really do want to support students, whether or not they're in the Bonner program or not. And we will do everything we can to do that. So I hope that's a helpful assurance to you. Okay, Naomi, are there any mentorship or networking opportunities available for Bonner Scholars, including interacting? That's a good question. So the foundation has a platform called Bonner Connect, in which you can go and connect with Bonner Scholars across the nation. So when you become part of the Bonner Scholars Program, you get access to Bonner Connect, and people will go on Bonner Connect and they will basically make a little profile and say, hey, I'm available if anyone wants to reach out to me. Here's what I specialize in. And because you already have that Bonner association, people are very willing to be of support, to be of help, all of those things. So yes, Bonner scholars are known to, just like any other type of commitment like this, they're going to be willing to connect with you and reach out. And there's opportunities to do that through our Bonner Connect platform. And the other thing I'll say, Naomi, is we try to invite alum who are local in Richmond back to campus to participate in the various events that we do. So from time to time, you'll get to interact with alumni who are still local here. Okay, Matthew, does the Bonner program help outside of Richmond? I'm an Oliver Hill scholar. So would you say that the Bonner program is similar in which there are multiple areas of help even outside of the program? Well, one thing I will say, Matthew, this is the unfortunate reality that I do have to share, is that students who are in the Oliver Hill Scholars Program are unfortunately not able to also participate in the Bonner Scholars Program. And the reason for that is because there are overlapping commitments. Typically, students will have meetings at the same time that we have meetings. The other thing is that at the university, we want to make sure that as many students as possible have access to what we would call these high impact cohort programs. And so, and particularly like high impact cohort programs that span 4 years. And so by allowing students to participate in both, unfortunately, we're limiting access to other students here at the university. I am sorry to be the bearer of bad news in that respect, but the Oliver Hill Scholars Program is amazing. They're great. If you're already in that, I'm proud of you, and great job on earning your acceptance. I think you're going to love it. So Anna, do you think doing the Bonner program in the Living and Learning community is too much? And if not, do you have a Richmond Endeavor Living and Learning community to recommend to people doing the Bonner program as well? Well, great question. This hasn't come up, this kind of question hasn't come up in a little while. But I do know that students who do some of the Living and Learning programs, sometimes those programs have service commitments tied to them. And so what you can do is you can go to your professor or whoever it might be and say, hey, as a part of being in this Living and Learning community, I would love to use my Bonner internship as a part of the service commitments of this community. And professors are 9 times out of 10 more than willing to say, absolutely, like that sounds great. If they have a very specific reason why you need to be engaged in certain nonprofits, then we can flex on our end, right? We can say, oh, great. Well, maybe you want to take a pause from your current internship so that you can meet your academic requirements. So we're here to support you and try and be flexible with all that. We don't want you to feel pinched with like too many service requirements. We're trying to make it overlap as much as possible. But maybe Sage, I don't know if you've had any questions like this before as well.
Yeah, I was like, I haven't as much, but I actually, I'm not sure this year if we have students who overlap or not. But I do think just based off of working with Endeavor, it feels like it could be balanced fairly well. Like, again, I think if it's something you're committed to and know you want to do both things, I don't see it being too terribly overwhelming, especially with Endeavor. Again, you're, hopefully when applying to Endeavor, you're interested in those communities. And so I feel like, again, you would be taking courses regardless, right? You're just now taking some that are tied to your Endeavor program. So that's kind of built in. And then with the extracurricular pieces with Endeavor, again, some are kind of mandated through, your faculty member, and they're kind of required for the course. And then some of the more social elements for like the whole program. If you would have other obligations that come up, again, we always try to work with our students because we want them to be involved in other opportunities. And it's not our, again, our goal is for students Endeavor to find a place, hopefully where they find community, but also allow them to find other places at the institution where they fit in and find belonging. And so I definitely think I think it's doable. And I think, Blake, as you said, if there would be service components to a course, there might be a way to work out, some possible overlap. I will say again, this is my first year here, but all of the faculty in the program are fantastic and really care immensely about their students and want them to be successful. And again, find a community and a place where they fit at UR. So again, I think if it's something you want to do, it's definitely something that's possible. I think, again, just being aware of kind of the commitments you're agreeing to, and knowing you really want to do it is what's kind of most important there.
Perfect.
And I don't have a recommendation on a certain one of the Endeavor programs either. I think all of them, again, kind of have underlying things that would be really great and kind of come in line with Bonner Scholars. So I just am off the top of my head thinking about some of the courses. I know, like, we have a sustainable River City one looking at Richmond and kind of sustainability and pieces there, storied connections, working as stories, and also going into the Richmond community too to work with groups of people. So again, I think there's a lot of really cool options that might pair really well together with Bonner Scholars.
Great. All right, Lori, let's see here. What happens if a student gets sick and cannot attend 1 week of service? Do you make it up? This is a great question, Lori. So we are moving into a new model in the program where students are paid on an hourly basis. This is it's new this year, coming into the fall. And so the beauty, we're seeking to learn how to guide students in this process, but it's moments where students just have to think ahead and plan thoughtfully. So if you were to, again, given our hourly requirements and participate in everything, you would actually get more than $3,000. You would actually go above and beyond the $3,000 that we kind of say you can earn during a given year. So the beauty of that is if you are sick and you do miss a week, we have kind of baked that into your earnings, essentially. Like, that you're still going to get your $3,000 in the aggregate, even if you have to miss a week. Same comes down with the semester. You're still going to get your $1,500. Again, if you don't get sick at all, and you just continue to participate like 100%, you're going to get more than $1,500. But when you miss that week, we've actually baked that into the new model of getting paid on an hourly basis. So what I would actually encourage students, though, is to look at your academic calendar for the semester and say, instead of working 7 hours a week, maybe I should work 8 hours a week, so that if I have an exam that I need to study for and I need to miss a service shift, or like you said, if you're sick and you need to miss something, you have that buffer already built in to your pay for the semester. Again, we've already built in that buffer to your pay, but you can also proactively buffer things as well yourself by working an additional hour per week, let's say, through the Bonner program. So hope that's helpful. Feel free to follow up with a question on that if I can clarify anything. But Nia, next question. Is it possible to study abroad as Bonner Scholar? Absolutely, yes. As you go abroad, we typically have about 5 to 8 students in the program who go abroad, and we support each and every one of them as they do that. We will support you in finding a local NGO or government agency when you go abroad. We've got some search tools and some standard practices in which will help you locate one. But it's a little bit like the summertime. During the summertime, we will coach you and teach you how to find your own nonprofit experience that you can apply to, intern at, communicate with. It's a great professional development experience, because you're learning how to secure your own internships during the summertime. And the same thing is true with study abroad. You are doing some of the proactive communication with organizations, asking them for job descriptions, asking them for volunteer descriptions, and then working with them to see when do they need you, what's your agreement to show up, some of those things. So we bake that all into the program. We will support you and guide you through that process. But absolutely, you can study abroad and be a Bonner Scholar. All right, Deborah, is it possible to do a work study throughout the semester while still doing service and volunteering as a Bonner Scholar? Deborah, great question. This is actually one of the things that is going to be new in the upcoming year. So if you are a federal work study student, you will tap your federal work study funding first. We include your federal work study funding as a part of the Bonner program. So typically a student might get about $1,500 if they're in the federal work study program. And so during the first semester, you'll typically use that $1,500. And then come the spring semester, we'll start kicking in our own money from our own endowment and our own resources. So there's no particular way to, I mean, you could go work a job on campus if you wanted to and try and tap your federal work study money that way, and then and then work in the Bonner program. But the great thing is with the Bonner program, if you can continue to work above and beyond the 10 hours. So those students who are wanting to do like a job on campus and a job in the Bonner program, they could make it much easier on themselves simply by just working more hours in the community. Again, that $3,000 is kind of the baseline. And then students can earn above and beyond that if they want to work additional hours. And that's one of the beauties of our new model that we're going to be instituting this year, is that students can actually earn more than the $3,000. So, but yes, the federal work study money is integrated into the Bonner program. You use that first, and then we supplement it with Bonner money. So I hope that's helpful, Deborah. Matthew, sorry, Oliver Scholars from New York City. Got it. I'm so sorry. We have an Oliver Hill Scholars program here at the university. So hopefully I'm not sure if I answered your question or not, but yeah, let me know, Matthew, if you have an additional question that I can tease out from previously. And then Lori, how many freshman Bonner Scholars are there? Does this number fall off any over the years? Must you begin as a freshman? So we have 25 students who will enter as first-year students, giving us 100 students in the program as a whole. And yes, some students, whether they transfer to another school or they decide, you know what, I really want to focus on research while I'm here at the university. And you know, research takes a lot of time. I would rather give my time to being in a lab with a professor. It's not that I'm not committed to civic endeavors and the common good and all those things. It's just that I find my passion in research. And so I'm going to take a pivot. And so they might pivot out of the Bonner program. So I'd probably say about 1 to 2 students a year will transition out of the Bonner program. And what that opens up for us is what we call walk-on scholars. So we'll be doing the walk-on scholar process this summer and welcoming a couple students into the program. I will say that it does get a bit more competitive the longer folks wait. Once students come to the campus and they get acclimated and then they want to apply to the walk-on process, our acceptance rate is a lot lower, just because there's a lot more applicants versus the number of spots that we have. Again, I don't want to say that to pressure anybody to say, you got to get in now, but you need to do what's right for you and your overall academic trajectory. But there is a possibility, but it's a little bit of a smaller possibility in later years. If you do have federal work study, we do support students to use their federal work study money through what we call community work study. And so we have students who go out and work with organizations across Richmond through the community work study program. So again, not every student needs to be a Bonner Scholar. Again, we would love for as many people to apply and be part of it. We think it's an amazing program, but know that we want to support you regardless of where you land as you try to engage in the community.
Well, I think we got most of the questions. And I did want to say to Naomi asked a question about Endeavor, and I put a description in the question answer. So hopefully people can see, and I linked the Endeavor website too if people have questions about that.
Good. Well, wow, those were so many great questions.
I was like, it was great questions.
Thank
It's
you
a good
for
group.
all of your thoughtful inquiries. And again, if something comes up after tonight and we didn't get to answer it or didn't answer it fully, feel free to email us at spidersengage@richmond.edu. One of our staff members, possibly me, will be reaching out to you and help clarify. But we've got just a few days before the application closes. Again, as a small reminder, this Sunday night is when we'll be closing it. So be sure to get your applications in. We look forward to reviewing them. We always have a great applicant pool, and we hope, again, that you'll consider applying.
Well, thank you, Blake, for being here tonight. And thank you again to all of you for attending. Like Blake said, please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. You can also reach out to newspiders@richmond.edu too if you have any questions in general about starting here at Richmond. So I hope everyone has a wonderful evening. And again, thanks for attending.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Good. Have a great night.